What happened on that road was far more than a simple accident. It marked the start of a chain of events no one could have predicted. For decades, Tiger Woods had been more than an athlete. He was golf's guiding star, a man who didn't just dominate the sport, but redefined it, collecting 15 major championships and building a career that survived scandal, injury, and doubt. Every time the world thought he was finished, he returned stronger, sharper, and more dangerous, seemingly immune to human frailty. That's why when the first alerts came, Tiger Woods arrested after a car crash, it didn't just shock the sports world, it shattered the sense of invincibility surrounding him. Initially, the details were unclear. Some reports described it as a minor accident, while others hinted at something more serious. Soon, the full picture emerged. This wasn't a minor collision. It was a rollover crash involving another vehicle, a violent incident that literally and figuratively flipped one of the world's most recognizable figures. Witnesses described chaos, twisted metal, and a scene that looked far more dangerous than a routine traffic incident. And that's when the story took a turn no one expected. When authorities arrived, the focus quickly shifted from the crash itself to what they found at the scene, the condition of the vehicle, Woods' behavior, and details that didn't quite add up. What should have been a straightforward accident investigation became far more complicated. Police discovered facts at the scene that would turn this simple crash into a larger story. To understand how it all spiraled, you have to rewind to just seconds before impact. Early reports from Reuters and The Guardian indicated that Woods was driving along a narrow road when he attempted a routine maneuver to overtake a truck ahead. It was an everyday decision, calculated and ordinary. Yet in that moment, something went wrong. His vehicle clipped the trailer, and instantly, control was lost. What followed unfolded faster than anyone could react. The contact caused a chain reaction. The car went off balance and within seconds flipped completely. Metal twisting, glass shattering, momentum turning into chaos. This wasn't a crash you walk away from unscathed. At highway speeds, a rollover can be catastrophic, where mere inches can separate survival from tragedy. As the vehicle came to a violent stop, the question on everyone's mind was how he survived. By all accounts, this could have been the final chapter of Tiger Woods' story. When first responders arrived, they weren't just confronting a damaged vehicle, they were confronting a legend in a critical moment, and what they found would shape the narrative far beyond the crash itself. When first responders approached Tiger Woods' vehicle, they weren't just assessing a car accident, they were confronting a legend in distress. Officers expected shock, adrenaline, or confusion, but what they found was harder to explain. Woods appeared disoriented, moving slowly, described by witnesses and officials as almost lethargic, neither panicked nor fully present. That kind of behavior immediately raises red flags in any roadside investigation, and in that moment, the focus shifted from the crash itself to the man behind the wheel. Something about the situation didn't feel right, and the first complicating detail emerged. There was no alcohol, no immediate evidence of drinking, nothing obvious to explain the loss of control. The simplest, most common answer that usually closes cases like this was suddenly gone, and the mystery deepened. If it wasn't alcohol, what caused one of the greatest athletes in history to lose control? The investigation quickly escalated from a crash to something far more serious. As officers continued assessing the scene, their questions sharpened and their observations turned into suspicion, culminating in a moment no one expected. Tiger Woods was placed under arrest on suspicion of DUI. This was not just a routine legal step. For someone of Woods' stature, the arrest sent shockwaves far beyond the roadside, signaling that a deeper story was unfolding. The situation intensified when authorities requested a chemical test, a standard procedure meant to clarify the cause: alcohol, drugs, or nothing at all. But Woods refused. That refusal didn't just complicate the investigation, it changed the narrative entirely. Legally, a refusal carries consequences, and narratively, it created a vacuum where speculation began to overshadow fact. Investigators, now looking beyond alcohol, shifted their focus to another possibility: prescription medication impairment, a subtle and complex explanation that slowly reveals its impact. This wasn't a case of reckless partying. It was something more nuanced and dangerous. The crash itself was no longer the central story. It became a trigger exposing deeper, hidden issues. As new details emerged, the past began to resurface. highlighting patterns that could not be ignored. Reports highlighted by the New York Post reminded the world that this wasn't Woods' first encounter with such circumstances. In 2017, he was arrested under similar conditions, found disoriented behind the wheel, and later revealed to have prescription medications in his system. At the time, it was framed as a single incident, a mistake, a momentary lapse. But now, nearly a decade later, the echoes were louder. Patterns don't repeat by accident. To understand the situation, one must consider the physical toll behind the legend. Decades of dominance came at a cost, including multiple back surgeries, knee procedures, and chronic pain that never fully disappeared. These injuries required ongoing treatment, creating cycles of recovery and medication that blurred the line between healing and risk, and set the stage for a moment that would change the narrative far beyond a single crash. The physical toll Tiger Woods carried over the years didn't vanish once the cameras stopped rolling. Every tournament, every practice, and every moment at the top of the game came at a price. Multiple back surgeries, knee procedures, chronic pain, and the constant grind of recovery. Those injuries demanded ongoing treatment, medications, and rehabilitation cycles that blurred the line between healing and dependency, creating pressures few could truly understand. To the public, Woods was the ultimate comeback king, the man who defied the odds to win the 2019 Masters, a symbol of resilience, precision, and mental toughness. But behind that celebrated story was a far quieter and more complex reality. Recovery isn't only physical, and sometimes it doesn't end when a trophy is lifted or a headline is made. On one side, you had one of the greatest athletes in history, a figure of discipline, focus, and near-perfect control. On the other, you had a human being navigating immense pain, relentless expectations, and pressures that few could imagine. The same man who once could control a golf ball down to the millimeter suddenly appeared unable to control a single moment behind the wheel, a contradiction that feels surreal but underscores a harsh truth. Even legends are not immune to struggle. They just hide it better. This incident wasn't just a crash, and it wasn't just an arrest. It was a rare window into something ongoing, unresolved, and deeply human. It was a glimpse behind the public persona, revealing a story that didn't start on that Florida road and may not end there either. The real question became not what happened on that night, but whether this was a breaking point, or the culmination of struggles Woods had been battling for years, quietly and alone. In the hours that followed, the situation unfolded with a tense, almost suffocating quiet. After being taken into custody, Woods was held for several hours while the investigation proceeded behind closed doors, leaving the world without immediate answers and forcing everyone to confront the reality that the story was far bigger than a single accident. It wasn't just about the car, the arrest, or the headlines. It was about the years of physical pain, the emotional weight, the hidden battles, and the human side of a man the world had long viewed as untouchable, invincible, and almost superhuman, showing for the first time just how fragile even the strongest legends can be when faced with the private struggles they carry beyond public view.